It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Di da di di da di di da 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 da. Di da di li da di li di da. Di da di li di da di li 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 da di da di da di di da.
Preparing the montage.
Happy Pride Month, you bunch of fucking nerds. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I do not give a shit who you are, how you identify, or the certain minorities and groups we put ourselves in. You are still a person and you should be loved, because it simply doesn't matter to me. You're a human being still at the end of the day. And whether you're part of the LGBTQA+ community or not, you should wear that shit with fucking pride. I am personally a straight white man, but that does not mean I cannot show my support for all of you people out there. And this is the only way I kind of know how to show my support. So however you identify or whatever your sexual preference is, say it with me now. I am a nerd and I am proud. I should make merch over that. Does anyone else play video games? Except really fucking slowly. Well, I'm currently going through my 2-week Minecraft phase and I'm having an absolute fucking blast. But as I've been making my way through the game, I've come to realize I play this game really slowly. Like, I task myself to do a really big task or a really big building project or anything along those lines, and it takes me hours to do it. And I get no closer to beating the game. Because in Minecraft, I want to build. I want to get a bunch of maps, build a whole bunch of shit on the surface, and then look at those maps and walk around my world and be like, wow, I did that. And it's only after when I burn myself out after building a whole bunch of shit is when I think, I should probably start looking for stuff to go and beat the Ender Dragon. Same thing goes with the Wither. The only time when I go and beat him is when I need and or want a beacon. I haven't even bothered with the Warden yet, and I think I understand why I do it. I have played the shit out of open world adventure games, and it's ingrained in my head to go against the story. And by that I mean, if I'm walking down the road and there's 2 set paths, if I go left, then that way it will take me towards the story. If I go right, then it will take me towards secrets and loot. And I always go right first and then clear that dungeon completely, get all the loot, get everything I need out of it before coming back and going to go towards the story. And I think building big projects in Minecraft is my version of going against the quote-unquote story. But yeah, anyone else do this shit? Please let me know in the comments. So I had a buddy of mine message me a couple of days ago asking about a character that I've talked about a few times on this app. My good friend Budget Napper. Go show this man some support, because he's a fucking grand lad. If you love Dragon Ball and Team 4 Stars Dragon Ball Abridged, you will fucking love this man. And he basically asked me if Rogue from the X-Men touched the Asgardian, what would happen? He basically asked if Rogue touched the Asgardian, would they say zap Loki's powers because Loki uses like Asgardian magic, or would it not work at all because they're neither human nor do they have any of the mutant DNA? Just as a quick refresher as to what Rogue's powers are, anyone she touches via skin-to-skin contact, she absorbs their powers, their memories and their life force. The longer she touches, the more she takes. And yes, she could very well kill you depending on how long she's touching you for. And this applies to anyone. So yes, if Rogue touched any Asgardian via skin-to-skin contact, then she would take their powers, their memories and their life force. But it all depends on which Asgardian she touches as to determine what powers she would take. So to kind of keep it in line with this question, if Rogue touched Loki, yes, she would gain his powers, but if she touched, say, a random ass Asgardian citizen, she would take their memories, their life force, and any powers or skills that they would have, because not every Asgardian is a sorcerer or a warrior or a fighter, whatever. If she touched Thor, for example, she would gain his control over thunder and lightning and his godlike strength and speed and whatnot. If she touched Odin, for example, she could very well obtain the Odin Force. Long story short, the Odin Force is like a nigh unstoppable force that's handed down from king to king of Asgard, and then when that power is handed down to the next king of Asgard, then it is renamed after them. So if Thor was to be crowned the next king of Asgard, then he would be renamed the Thor Force. If Loki was to become the next king of Asgard, it would become the Loki Force, so on and so forth. If she touched like a regular ass like Asgardian foot soldier, she would gain his like abilities as a sword fighter or an archer or whatever he is professionally trained at. So it just all depends on which Asgardian Rogue touches. Now before I end this video, I do want to pose one other question that I've been thinking about while making this video. Now it might be a bit of a dumb question because of obvious reasons, because of what I'm about to say, but I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. If Rogue touched Thor and gained all of his powers and abilities, life force and whatnot, would she still be able to pick up Mjolnir? Because Rogue would have Thor's life force inside of her, which could almost trick the hammer in a sense into thinking that Thor it up? Or would it be a case of like how we saw in Thor Ragnarok, where he's able to use his thunder and lightning powers without the aid of the hammer? Because Mjolnir is a mighty weapon, don't get me wrong, but it's not necessary for Thor's power. At the end of the day, it's a conduit for him. It allows him to channel his powers through it, making it easier for him to use his thunder and lightning abilities. I don't know, let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you Budget for posting this question to me. And thank you as well for messaging me about some skit ideas, because I've got some ideas brewing for him. Well there, you bunch of nerds, I'm back with another question again. And this is another one of those multiple choice questions where there are no wrong answers whatsoever. I'm just genuinely curious. What is your personal favourite Batarang design? That might be the nichest thing I've ever said in my fucking life. Hey, at least I'm talking about something other than fucking Wolverine. Now, as I said, there are no wrong answers to this whatsoever. This can be any Batarang design from any point in time in Batman's career since the character was first introduced. I don't care if it's from a movie, a game, a TV show, whatever. Personally, I really like the Arkham one. For obvious reasons. That, and I kinda dig the Snyderverse one. And it's for one sole reason. The curves. And the reason being is that the biggest gripe I had with the Dark Knight Batarang is the fact that the edges were just pointed, there was no curvature to them. And I know that's such like an oddly specific thing, but I feel like a Batarang should be curved kind of like this so it has better aerodynamics while it's going through the air. Because the whole point of the Batarang was the fact that it was a bat-shaped boomerang, in the sense of Batman would throw it and then it will come back to him. I know that's changed over the years, so they're more of like shuriken type weapons as opposed to boomerangs now, but you know, my point still stands. How the fuck did I turn this video from a question to me like divulging the history of a Batarang? What the fuck am I doing? Anyway, yeah, comment your favourite Batarang or stitch this video with a fun fact or something, I don't know. Alright, fuck it. What is your favourite Batsuit? Is it from the movies? Is it from the comics? Is it from the games? Is it from the TV shows? And as always, there are no wrong answers to this question whatsoever. Every single Batsuit has its pros and cons, and I love every single Batsuit for the most part. Just to add one more question to this string of like favourite Batman things. What is your favourite Batman cowl? And again, this can be from the movies, the TV shows, the comics, the games, whatever. And just to answer both questions on my part, my personal favourite cowl is the George Clooney one, because that's the Batman I grew up with. As for my favourite suit, it might be Ben Affleck's, or it could be the Hush suit. I'm not too sure. It always kind of flip-flop between the two of them. Reason being is because the Hush suit is, well, the fucking Hush suit. But then I watch like the Ben Affleck Batman films and then just look at the materials on that suit and I'm in fucking awe. Only two gripes I have with that suit is one, it's the fucking Dark Knight suit, which I've always kind of hated. I think hate is kind of too strong of a word, but like disliked. And then the fucking hooked nose on the cowl. I've never liked the hooked nose. So I've just come to the realization that I'm in fact a lightsaber owner. I've not done my civic duty as a lightsaber owner to teach you guys how to do some of the spinny moves. So that's what I'm doing today. First things first, the figure eight. Right, first I need to split this thing in half and put the blade in it. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, that's beautiful. So the figure eight is the absolute easiest bit to do for any Star Wars lightsaber spinning techniques. And is in fact the base point for a lot of other spins and maneuvers and things like that. So how do you do it here, Oscar? Well, hold the lightsaber out a little bit towards you, and it's all about gravity. So let the lightsaber droop and kind of catch it between your index finger and your thumb. When it gets to the point, rotate your hand and bring it back up. Let it droop, bring it back up. Let it droop, bring it back up. And eventually, you can do that. Do the bit closer so that way you're able to see it. So, let the lightsaber droop, catch it, and bring it back up. Droop, bring it back up. Droop, bring it back up. Now when you're doing it as fast as this, for example, what I personally like to do is use my four fingers in order to push the hilt. That way I don't completely have to rely on the momentum of the blade, and I can use the hilt to add some extra force to it and help me push the blade back up. Because whenever you're doing any forms of Star Wars spins, it really tires out your arm and your wrist, and then if I can add any extra aid to my wrist and my hand, then I will. Obviously if you get tired using your dominant hand, you can always switch to another arm, and it's just the same process over and over again. Now obviously I would always practice doing any of these spinning moves with your dominant hand first. Personally I am a lefty, so I always use the lightsaber with my left hand and then translate over to my right hand what I've learned. But yeah, that was the figure eight. Whenever you are practicing any form of lightsaber spins or twirls, you can use pretty much anything that resembles a lightsaber. It could be a NeoPixel like the one I have, it could be a basic, it could be Profi, hell, it could even be one of like the cheap plastic toys or even a stick. Anything works so long as it resembles the hilt in the lightsaber. Anything really, really long will work, so don't think you have to fork out like 400 quid for a NeoPixel blade and hilt to be able to do all these spins. You can do it with anything. It's just a fuckload cooler whenever you've got something like this and smooth swing enabled on it as well. I hope that helped, and may the force be with you. You want to know the funniest thing about this comment? That's a character that actually exists. Do you know how we've got like Marvel and DC and those universes are completely separate with one another with no like overlapping whatsoever unless it's a special event? Well, let me introduce you to the Amalgam Universe. And purely based on what you're looking at, you can probably tell what this universe is. This universe is quite literally the fusion of Marvel and DC, as in Marvel characters and DC characters fuse with one another to create one hero. We have Wolverine and Batman, Superman and Captain America, Doctor Fate, Doctor Strange, Wonder Woman, Storm, the list fucking goes on. Hell, even Doctor Doom is fused with Doomsday up here. And as you can clearly see, their weapons fuse as well, so Captain America's shield is now Superman's S. You've also got Wolverine's adamantium claws, kind of shaped like batarangs a little bit. I don't remember the last time I actually had this universe pop into my memories, but I'm so glad it did. And if you really wanted me to, I could very well go through and dissect some of these characters, because this universe is fucking wild. But yeah, you know full well, if I ever get my hands on a Batman cowl, I'm going to put my Wolverine claws on and then just be Darkwing here. Anyway, yeah, I hope that helped. Very unique question, my friend. So this question comes from the Ben 10 versus Thanos video that I made like a month ago, and I've seen variants of this question come up a few times, as in, does the Omnitrix have any defenses against Thanos using the Reality Stone on him in any way, shape or form? And in all reality, I can't say it wouldn't, because here's the reason why. In Ben 10's arsenal, he has an alien called Alien X, the Celestial Sapien, who is a reality warper. They are an entire species of reality warpers, and reality does not affect them in the same way as it would affect pretty much every other creature in the Ben 10 universe. And in one of the feats I mentioned in this video that the comment is attached to, I said that reality was fading away, and the only thing that was left that we saw was Alien X, and he was completely stationary, hands by his side and looking straight forward. This man was doing nothing, and he was at the eye of the event. He had the fucking device that was making reality die in his peripheral vision. So if everything, all of creation, all of reality was dying in his universe and it did not affect him in the slightest, I don't think that a reality stone would do that much damage to Alien X at all. But what about if Thanos tried to directly attack the Omnitrix? And I 100% believe that the Omnitrix would reject that attack. I don't know if reject is the right word, but like counter it or block it or whatever, something along those lines. A Celestial Sapien being inside the Omnitrix is a threat already, and it's a huge gamble. If the two personalities inside of Alien X's head decided that they no longer wanted to be trapped inside of the Omnitrix, they would do everything in their power to get out. And having any one of Ben's aliens out of the Omnitrix and on the loose is a bad idea. Take Ghostface as an example. So I 100% believe that the Omnitrix would have defenses against all forms of reality warping powers. Doesn't matter what it is, the Omnitrix would counter it, block it, reject it, whatever. Because remember, the Omnitrix is kinda self-aware. It understands dangers in the situation that Ben himself is in and then adjusts accordingly. Again, take the Big Bang Theory. So yes, I 100% believe that there are defenses against reality warping powers.
Where's the information about the Joker? Am I just a clown to you? Why do I never get the last laugh?
You heard the man. Let's get some Joker appreciation up in this video. Look, I'm even wearing the Joker t-shirt as well. We'll ignore the power going for the minute. We'll just focus on the Joker. I'm going to say it right now. The Joker is one of the best comic book characters ever made, because the Joker is so fundamentally tied into comics and DC comics that it's almost impossible to talk about anything relating to DC and not mention him at least once, because the Joker will do anything and everything within his power to fuck with Batman, not only just to give his own life meaning and direction, but also to be a perfect counterpart to everything Batman is as a character as a whole. Batman is a very dark character, right? Very stoic, no emotions, very dark color palette, very monotone, not many bright colors in there at all. Joker is a very bright character, a lot of colors on there that pop, very emotional, very like staged almost as if like every single scheme he plots is a stage and the world is his audience. All for the sole purpose of proving his point to Batman that everyone in the world is one bad day away from him. All it takes is one bad day to drive the sanest man alive to lunacy, and that point has been proven time after time after time again. And although comic books always try to stray away from that point, if you look at every single superhero and every single villain, that point has been proven to a T. What made every single hero and villain in DC what they are now? They all had one bad day. Joker fell into a vat of chemicals after he found out that his wife and child died. Bruce Wayne's parents were gunned down right in front of him in Crime Alley. Superman's planet exploded. Harleen Quinzel was assigned to the Joker. Barry Allen's mother died right in front of him and his father went to jail for that crime. Flash took the limelight away from Eobard Thawne. Doomsday was killed and cloned over and over and over again to survive the harsh nature of Krypton before it was even fucking Krypton. Every single superhero and villain had a bad day which made them what they are now. And this also ties to other heroes and villains outside of the DC universe. And although their one bad day didn't occur at the same time that they became a hero or villain, each supervillain and hero has had one bad horrific day that changed their lives forever. Look at Old Man Logan, for example. His one bad day didn't occur when he gained his mutant abilities. Neither was it when the adamantium was grafted to his skeleton. It occurred when he was tricked into killing all of his friends and family. That was the day where Wolverine canonically died, Logan became a pacifist, and the villains won. The phrase Wolverine became a pacifist is a joke in and of itself. And I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean by it's funny is the fact that tying that character's name to the phrase pacifism. It'd be like taking the character Joker and tying sanity to him. And if this video is meant to prove anything, it's that the Joker is right. Everyone has had a bad day. Everyone in and out of fiction has had horrific days. But not a day as bad as his. A day that turned the sanest man alive to lunacy. A day where the man broke away from reality and saw the world as it truly is. A sick and twisted joke. You know what I've discovered about myself recently? Is that I have such an affinity for fictional characters who are angry. And what I mean by that is that I always find myself gravitating towards comic book characters whose base emotion is anger. I don't mean that they're always angry, but they're most affiliated with that emotion. Like, I think it's pretty common knowledge that I'm a big old Red Hood fan here. Like, not to mention the fact that this is the first character I ever cosplayed, and this is the only character I've ever done 2 different versions of said cosplay. And yes, I'm still working on the Red Hood Outlaw version. I just need to get the hoodie and 1 or 2 other things, sorry. And as discussed previously as well, I'm a big old Wolverine fanboy. And yes, posting on this page constantly for however long I've been doing it for has reminded me of my love for that character. What other characters are best associated with anger? Raphael, Vegeta, Broly, Batman, Black Suit Spider-Man. Yes, I know you're probably screaming Hulk at me, but he's not one of my favorites. I do like him, but he's not one of my favorites. Hell, my favorite Lantern Corps are the red ones. The thing is, some other characters, you've got Asura from Arthur as well, Darth Maul, Darth Vader, literally anyone named Darth and then insert name here, fucking the Doom Guy. Might as well throw Kratos in there as well. Just have an affiliation with angry characters. Anyway, tell me what your favorite characters are affiliated with a certain emotion in the comments. So apparently you guys like Ben 10 videos, because anytime I post a video about that, it gets mad views. So yes, I'm going to haul myself out to the algorithm. So today I'm going to post 2 questions to you instead of just my regular 1. Why 2 questions? Saves me making 2 videos on it. Question number 1. What is your favorite Ben 10 alien? Like, what is your favorite alien Ben can transform into? And this can be any alien from any version of the Omnitrix. Which perfectly leads me on to my next question. What is your favorite version of the Omnitrix purely from a design choice? I'm not talking about the functionality of the different versions of the Omnitrix, I'm purely talking about what it looks like. Because if you're gonna go hero, you've got to have your favorite look for the watch. Fuck the functionality. You gotta look your best when you're saving the world, you know what I mean? Anyway, answers, comments, go, or Stitch if you like. So before this video even starts, I just want to say this is not going to be like my normal content at all. Normally I would try to be energetic and passionate and a little bit sweary here and there about all the things I love, you know, comic books and video games and things like that, but today is not one of those days, because today I was informed that we lost another beloved member of our community. On June 8th, we lost the beloved comic historian. For those of you who don't know who the comic historian was, he was a legend to say the least. His whole decade-long career on YouTube was built around comic books, his love and his passion for comic books. And what he would do is that he would show you the comic panels and then read them to you dramatically. Using his long-range vocal skills, if he would read the comics to you as the character, say if he was reading something as the Joker, he would put on a Joker voice. If he was putting on the Batman voice, he would put on a deep, monotone, Batman-esque voice. And he wasn't just an exclusive DC fan just because of the examples I brought up. He read comic books for God knows how many companies. Yes, he was mainly doing for Marvel and DC, however, he read comic books from any company you could think of. And he was really the first person I kind of looked up to in this community before I officially became a part of it. Like, before I started reading comics and doing cosplay and collecting Funkos and whatnot, he was the person I went to for that stuff. He was the first person who gave me the things I needed to come back to comics because of other people's actions. He was the first person to kind of show me that comics are for everyone, cosplay is for everyone, collecting things is for everyone. He was the first person to prove wrong what so many people had told me before, that this stuff is not childish. Although yes, this stuff is primarily marketed towards children, it deals with very adult issues and the material in it is very adult and very real world. And a lot of adults nowadays relate to these characters in one way or another, and a lot more need these characters. All of these characters and all of these different books and things, that's our escape from reality, that's our comfort place, that's our safe zone. Because I'm going to be real with you, if I had not found his YouTube channel when I was 14, 13, being bullied at school because of loving this stuff, I probably wouldn't have this page right now. Because fundamentally, he is the one who first reignited the flame for all of this stuff that you see in the background of my videos. So to end this video before it gets too sappy, I just want to say thank you, Ben, and I hope to God that you're in a better place than this world. You know what my favourite thing about being a Star Wars nerd is? It's being able to explain the lore in an autistic fashion. Basically, long story short, me and my partner are making our way through the whole of Star Wars. The prequel era, the original era, the sequel era, all of it. And of course we'll go back and watch Acolyte as well. And depending on when this video goes up, it was either last week or this week that it was released. And I got her to go and watch the trailer, which then devolved into like a 30 to 40 minute like deep dive of the lore of like the Old Republic era. I talked about Darth Revan, Darth Nihilus, Darth Malgus, fucking just like everyone. I explained the lore as to like how the rule of two came about and like the era before that. I talked about how Revan constantly flip-flops between the light and the dark before and after his death. I talked about Darth Nihilus being a living wound in the Force and eating planets like fucking Galactus. Hell, I even discussed Star Wars The Old Republic, the fucking video game. And if I had my head on straight, then I would have remembered to show her the Star Wars Old Republic cinematic trailers, because that is fucking peak Star Wars. And yes, I have very much done that for all of the Star Wars films and TV shows that we've either watched or are working our way through. Currently, we've just started the second season of the Clone Wars, so we've got a long way to go still, but I'm fucking here for it. And yes, I will be buying her a lightsaber. I know exactly which one she wants. It's just a matter of saving up for it and then when to get it for her. But anyway, let me know in the comments what your favourite piece of Star Wars lore is. So I haven't actually sat down and watched the full trailer yet. Like, I've seen snippets here and there of the trailer floating around on TikTok. But I've got my laptop loaded up now, so I'm going to sit down, watch the trailer, and then come back and film the rest of the video. One epic trailer later.
Amazing. Amazing. What the fuck?
That was so good. I can feel the Christianity flowing through my veins. I need to go replay Doom Eternal again now. Holy shit. As if we didn't think the Doom Slayer could get any cooler, Bethesda was just like, nah, you ain't seen shit yet. This might have just restarted my Doom hyperfixation, and I ain't complaining. I do believe I've come up with another headcanon. I'm not sure how much sense it makes, but I think it makes enough sense for me to make a video on it. And this might be one of the nichest things I'm ever going to talk about on this page. Period. So we're all aware of the ports on the backs of Wolverine's gloves / pants. You know, these little things here, that's what I'm on about. And we're all aware that those ports are there to kind of signify where Wolverine's claws are going to pop out from his hands. But I also firmly believe that these ports should also be made out of adamantium. And the reason why I believe that is because if they weren't, Wolverine would either damage his claws by popping into them, or two, he would just cut right through them. Let me explain the logic behind this. Where Wolverine's claws pop out from his hands is all adjacent to his hand hand position to his forearm. If his hand is completely straight and adjacent to his forearm, then they'll pop out in between his knuckles. If his hand is slightly tilted down, then they'll shoot out from the tops of his hands. Because no matter what happens, Wolverine's claws will always shoot out in a perfectly straight line. Because it always depends on where Wolverine's forearm is facing. You can bend your elbow and you can bend your wrist, but you can't bend your forearm. And with the amount of fights Logan gets in, he will never get his hand in the correct position every single time for them to either shoot out from the tops of his hands or between his knuckles. Yes, there will be times where Wolverine doesn't get in the correct position so the claws don't perfectly line up with the ports on the backs of his hands, which is where parts of my headcanon comes in. Because if those ports are made out of anything other than adamantium or vibranium, those claws are going to cut right through them. And I cannot begin to comprehend the headache it would be to constantly have to reforge and re-weld those ports 6 times identically. So to save some time whenever he's repairing his costume, it would make more sense to make them out of, say, vibranium or adamantium, because those are 2 metals that Wolverine cannot cut through with his claws and they would not damage his claws. Now, why couldn't those ports be made out of, say, carbonadium or mysterium, for example? Because 1, carbonadium will end up poisoning him and taking away his healing factor, the one thing Wolverine needs to be Wolverine. And 2, yes, Mysterium is stronger than adamantium. However, what happened the last time when metal adamantium blades directly connected with Mysterium? That shit bent on impact. Bent. Yes, I'm fully aware that this is a full Iron Man suit of Mysterium. However, knowing that, I don't think Wolverine will want to take the chance of popping his claws and accidentally connecting with Mysterium and having that happen to his claws. It's already painful enough for him to pop them in and out of his forearms constantly, and I don't think he wants to draw them back in while they're looking like that. But yeah, as always, let me know what you think of my headcanon. Why does there have to be so much cool shit being released when I'm trying to save money? Like I'm actively trying not to be a complete dumbass. And then I see shit like this floating around on Twitter. Are you kidding me? Like, I've known what Hot Toys are for a while now, and I've never seen myself collecting them at all because of how damn pricey they are, but fuck, this new Wolverine, what the shit? Like, look at this absolute perfection. And like, I've just been scrolling through some of the pictures here, and we get him with the sleeves, without the sleeves and shoulder pads, with a fucking cowl, without the sleeves but with the shoulder pads. Holy shit. Like, everything about this whole Wolverine Hot Toy statue thing, absolutely perfect. And that's from someone who doesn't collect Hot Toys. And I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. I would like it, but I don't need it. Actually, just saying that and looking around, where the fuck would I put it? This shit would need its own, like, glass case stand to put it in, because it's just that fucking beautiful. But thank God I don't have the room for that. I could attempt to rearrange my room a little. Ah, fuck that shit, it's way too much effort. My whole FYP now is just going to be full of Marvel Legends, Hot Toys, Black Series, and McFarlane toys. Fuck my life. This is going to be one of those rare times where I actually go on a rant about something that I love. Because this shit pisses me off to no fucking end. And it's all about these little bastards. So obviously by now you know I'm a big Funko collector. I currently have 60 in my possession. And they range from Marvel to DC, to some Umbrella Academy ones up there, and then a few Dragon Ball ones just over there. And I've got a few other oddball ones here and there. And of course, I love them. I wouldn't have 60 if I didn't love them. There's one thing about them that pisses me off to no fucking end. That being some of the non-existent holes in their feet. So as some of you may or may not know, some Funkos have a bit of trouble standing up because of the weight disproportions with like the big old heads and the tiny feet. So some of them come with this tiny little plastic base. And the tiny little rivet on there just slots into a little hole in some of their feet, like there. And voila, they stand up perfectly. Here's the thing, some Funkos have trouble standing up, but they don't come with the plastic base. Meaning, they don't have the hole in their feet. Meaning, if they have trouble standing up, you cannot use the plastic bases to help them stand up. Now to combat this, I just put a bit of blue tack on either one or both of their feet to help them stand up. Now I've got absolutely no problem with seeing the blue tack on there. I don't mind that in the slightest. But what I do mind is when I need to fucking dust. And I absolutely refuse to move the ones I've stuck to my shelf, because the second I move that blue tack and try to restick it, they are going to fall. And that is a tried and tested fact. Rogue here has single-handedly woken me up at God knows what time in the morning 4 separate times. I cannot remember for the love of God if she has a hole in her feet or not, but I'm not taking the risk. It's got to the point where Ben here will just constantly lay down because he's on the verge of breaking. Okay, rant over. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Through bloodshed and pure genius, my friend. But I'm going to go ahead and explain the full story of the Rule of Two, how it came about, the ideals, and the kind of logic behind it. And please keep in mind this takes place thousands of years before the events of the Phantom Menace, like in the Old Republic era, hundreds of thousands of years ago. So none of this is going to be connected to the Skywalker saga or even Acolyte for that matter. However, the Rule of Two is still very much active throughout all of those events. So it all starts with Darth Revan here. Now, Darth Revan started off as a Jedi, and then he was later turned to the dark side of the Force against his will. And throughout his very, very long life, he constantly flip-flopped between the light and the dark side of the Force. However, later in his life, he kind of held no allegiances to either side of the Force, but he would study both sides of the Force, and being both a Sith Lord and a Jedi, he understood the Force like no other. And at this point in time, the Sith were trained in masses like the Jedi were. There were pretty much equal Sith to Jedi being trained in temples across the galaxy. And because of that, there was a lot of infighting on the Sith side. Because most Sith want power. That's all they kind of want at the end of the day. And they don't care who they have to kill, betray, murder, whatever to get that power. They want it. And that is exactly what happened. The Sith were constantly betraying, killing one another to gain their power. And Darth Revan saw this and thought, shit. The Sith are destroying themselves. How the hell are they going to survive? Because much like the Jedi, the Sith are neither. You cannot have light without dark. The Force needs to be balanced. And he kind of came up with the idea of we need to implement things that the Jedi Order do into the Sith without destroying the Sith philosophy. Pretty much telling the Sith, you lot need to work together as a unit instead of individuals, because otherwise you lot are going to die. Yes, I've kind of sugarcoated it a little bit, but essentially that's what he tried to do. And of course, no one listened to him, and Revan would eventually die and become one with the Force. However, before he died, he left his teachings on a holocron for one day someone to enact and continue on his legacy. 1,000 years later, we come to a man called Darth Bane. Now, at this point in the Sith career, everything was 10 times worse. Everything that Darth Revan predicted was happening. The infighting was so much worse. The deaths, the betrayal, everything was so much worse. The Sith were pretty much on their last days. And again, Darth Bane saw this. And eventually Darth Bane found Darth Revan's holocron, where he began to study it like no other and agreed with his philosophy. However, the one thing he disagreed on was the fact that Darth Revan was a little too lenient. It's pretty much impossible to get a large number of Sith to work together, so he decided that the number of Sith needed to be cut down. One mass genocide later from this man, he was the only Sith Lord left. The idea of that kind of being is that there were too many Sith scraping at whatever power they could get their hands on and holding on to that like no other. There were simply too many power-hungry addicts going around. So they all had to be eliminated, so all of that power was solely in the hands of one Sith Lord. And then that Sith Lord would take on an apprentice and then teach everything that they knew to them. Meaning that the two individual Sith Lords wandering around the universe was far more powerful than the collective Sith Lords that were around. And what this did was pretty much create an endless cycle of power exchange. The Master would gain as much knowledge as humanly possible and then grant all that knowledge to the apprentice, whereby the apprentice would kill the Master, taking their power and then teaching that to the next apprentice. The theory in the ideology kind of being that each new apprentice would be far stronger than the Master. And I can't lie, it works. The Sith then kind of slipped into the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the Jedi, believing them to be dead. That way they could gain as much power as they want without all the attention of the Jedi Order honing down on them. And they were in hiding for thousands of years, each new generation becoming stronger and stronger and stronger than the previous one, which is why in The Phantom Menace, Mace Windu and Ki-Adi-Mundi thought it would be impossible for a Sith Lord to be around. But they were always there in the shadows, growing stronger and stronger and stronger. The height of their power reaching Darth Sidious, where he finally triumphed over the Jedi. Anyway, I hope that helped. So we all know how I was going through my 2-week Minecraft phase about 2 weeks ago. Well, that has very much quickly shifted into a 2-week Terraria phase. Like, I completely forgot I had this game to begin with, but I had become quickly addicted to it. Like, so far I've done absolutely nothing spectacular whatsoever. It's still a very, very early game. But I'm having a fucking blast, like, relearning this game, because I can remember playing this with my friends on the Xbox 360. As far as I remember, the furthest I remember getting is beating Skeletor, and that's about it. But this game is so much more complex than I realized. Like, last night I beat Cthulhu twice. However, I remember so specifically you were able to craft, like, the eye that you used to summon him. And then it wasn't until after I googled it where I realized you need an entirely different workbench in order to fucking craft the thing, summon him. And the worst part was I couldn't remember how many lenses I needed, so I spent nights on end just gathering all of these fucking lenses. So that's what I plan to do today. Find that fucking workbench and then just farm Cthulhu drops. And then we'll see if I can go beat Skeletor. Anyway, tell me in the comments if you guys are playing Terraria as well. So I just realized that the Elden Ring DLC comes out in like a day or two depending on when this video goes up. And I just realized that I am stupid as well. Because I haven't touched this game in like a month. And I started New Game Plus thinking, oh, my hyperfixation will last until the DLC comes out. It will be fine. Lord and behold, I boot the game back up. And I'm not even at the mountaintop of the giants. And I can't even go back to Lingrave and talk to Vare, complete his questline, and then get to Mogren's Palace and then kill Mogren, get access to the DLC, because I killed him. And somehow, in my first playthrough of the game, I completely missed the ending to Alexander's questline. Like, I did all the bits for it on my own without Googling it, and then realised after I'd beaten the Fire Giant that I needed him to join me in the fight on the Fire Giant. So I got a lot of work that needs to be done before I start streaming the DLC next week. Anyway, wish me good luck because I really just want to shift over there and go play Terraria. However, I've got a lot of work that needs to be done there so I can do stuff on YouTube and fucking... So it's decided then. We're not going to be financially irresponsible anymore. Yep, at this point in our life, we need to be focusing on saving as much money as we possibly can. We have more than enough stuff in our nerd collection, we don't need any more. And with the state of the economy and housing prices and whatnot going up, we need to be saving money now so that way we don't screw ourselves in the long run. Yes, we can treat ourselves every now and again, however, everything has to be perfectly saved for, or if we use another like Google app such as Klarna. Yeah, going cold turkey is never a good idea, so treating ourselves every now and again will probably help us, just so long as we don't do it as frequently as we have been. Exactly, so all we need to do now is not... Liam. What? What are you wearing? Nothing. I'm gonna ask you this once without losing my temper, and God forbid you make me ask twice. Where the hell did you get it? I don't know, I blacked out and this stuff was on me. Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Just please tell me you didn't buy anything else. Liam, there is a slight possibility that I may or may not have bought the Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC for Elden Ring, and we'll be streaming it this up and coming Monday and Tuesday at 11 AM. Is that it? Yes, that's it. By the way, I can hear your blood pressure rising. I wonder why. You know what I just realized this video is? This is another personal Star Wars headcanon. So for old time's sake, welcome back to my personal Star Wars headcanon. Today we're going to be talking about Ben Solo. God, it feels weird to do that intro. Ben Solo had every reason to want to turn to the dark side of the Force given his lineage and the untold expectations of his lineage being put on him. Let me explain exactly what I mean by that. We're all very aware of the Skywalker family tree. Now for the most part, none of this matters at all. All we need to be aware of is the connection between Ben Solo and Anakin Skywalker. That being through his mother and his uncle up towards Anakin, but Han does count in this situation a little bit as well. Now what I mean by my statement earlier is because of his connection between his mother, uncle and grandfather as Force wielders, Ben Solo would have had an unbelievable expectation put on him but unspoken. Now I don't doubt for a second that Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, whoever would never have put that expectation on him. They would never have told him he has to be a great Jedi, an unbelievable powerful Force wielder, a skilled lightsaber wielder. He doesn't have to be any of that. They would never expect him to be the hero of the story. They would never expect him to be an unbelievable Force wielder, the greatest Jedi of his time. But because of the great things his uncle and his grandfather did, that expectation would have been put on him inadvertently. After hearing all of these stories or living through them, other people around him would have put that expectation on him. Ben himself probably would have put that expectation on him as well. But what a lot of people probably wouldn't have told Ben is Darth Vader's connection to him as well. I don't doubt for a second that Ben would have found that information out by Snoke. As in when Snoke was first trying to weasel his way into Ben's head, he would have given him the name Darth Vader and Ben would have been asking around about said name. If not just straight up told him about Darth Vader and how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. How Ben was the grandson of one of the most powerful Sith Lords to ever exist. The only reason why Vader wasn't more powerful was because his suit was specifically made to cap his power. Whereby Luke, Han, Leia or all three of them would have had to explain to Ben why Anakin became Darth Vader and the events that led him to become Darth Vader, showing Ben that he had been lied to his whole life. Although it's kind of more like a half-truth than a straight-up lie, a lot of that information would have been left out to protect Ben along with Luke's other students. But hearing some of the stories and hearing how powerful Vader was, that would have showed Ben that there is a way for him to exceed all expectations. The dark side could give him the strength he wants and needs. Not in the sense that Ben is weak, in the sense of he thinks he's weak. He himself needs that power. He himself needs to show himself that he is powerful, that he is strong with the Force. Because in my opinion, as a Padawan, Ben would have been unbelievably hard on himself. He would have been very much like Anakin, where he felt like he needed more power. Not in a bad way. He doesn't want power to conquer the world or anything like that. He wants the power, and he feels like he needs the power to live up to all of these expectations he himself puts on himself. Which is why during the interrogation scene between Kylo and Rey specifically says, "You're afraid you'll never be as strong as Darth Vader, arguably the strongest member of the Skywalker family." Ben is insecure about himself to his very core. He is afraid he will never be as strong as the previous members of his family, and he hates himself because of that fact, which led him down the path to becoming Kylo Ren. So today's video is going to be a little bit different from the normal content that I post, because once again in our beloved community, Star Wars is dividing us. More specifically, our Star Wars nerds are being divisive against certain things that have happened in certain shows. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of it. I'm really sick of us Star Wars nerds being so divisive against one another. So today, I'm going to try and bring us together. I'm going to try and bring just a small collection of us Star Wars nerds back together. And I'm going to kick this video off by saying exactly what Star Wars is. Star Wars is art. It is a vast collection of legends incarnate. An endless collection of stories spanning hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions. It is something so close to many of our hearts that it is, in fact, beyond words. A single movie alone set cinematic history and kicked off not only 2 sequels, but 3 prequels and 3 additional sequels. And that's just the mainline movies I'm talking about. It sparked off expertly written TV shows, critically acclaimed video games, books containing the novelizations of those movies, along with expansions explaining events that happened hundreds of thousands of years before the first film was even made, and collectibles allowing us the fans to somewhat recreate some of the scenes we imagined watching those films, building our own armies of the Empire, the Separatists, the Grand Army of the Republic. We as fans made these lightsabers come to life, replicating each lightsaber down to its exact proportions as seen in the shows and the movies. We as fans get the privilege of sharing this experience with so many others every single day. And I say that as someone who's watching the whole of Star Wars with his girlfriend. Almost every single Tuesday night is date night, and I bring her along on this journey with me almost every Tuesday night. And I've had many people ask me, where do you start Star Wars? Where is the starting point? Where do you begin? And I'll tell you exactly where you begin. We begin a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. There was a little boy on a desert planet called Tatooine who wanted to see the stars. And that is exactly what Star Wars is. It's a lifetime journey spanning an entire galaxy, seeing everything that the stars has to offer. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the absolute beauty and amazement that it is. One of you motherfuckers got some explaining to do. So the other day, I was scrolling through Twitter, or X, or whatever the fuck that app is called, and I saw that there were some new teasers for new Marvel Legends. Now yes, I can hear you now. No, I'm not going to be buying any. There's literally only one figure I want, and that was released years ago, and that's solely just to complete essentially the Hex Girls of Marvel. And that would be Scarlet Witch if you didn't catch my drift. But anyway, back to the video. And in one of the promotional pictures, I saw this. And upon first glance, I was of course like, who the fuck is this? And upon closer inspection, I came to realise that this is some variant of Wolverine. But the last time I checked, Wolverine has a face and no fire, and he can't ignite his claws. And of course, like a true nerd, I began digging and trying to figure out who this man thinks he is. Because this is just a beautiful figure. Don't get me wrong, my favourite outfit of Wolverine will always be the modernised version of the classic yellow and blue. But that's not the point, that figure is still beautiful. And I discovered that this is a character called Helverine. Essentially, if Wolverine and the Ghost Rider were slapped together. Well, I may not be the biggest Ghost Rider fan in terms of reading the books. I've never picked up a Ghost Rider book in my life, but aesthetically, metal as fuck. I cannot begin to tell you the amount of times I've listened to Monster by Skillet and imagine myself transforming into the Ghost Rider in a Nicolas Cage fashion. And I mean, Helverine here, come on, just look at him, just mwah, chef's kiss. And one of the things I discovered about Helverine is that he rides a motorcycle, which is pretty standard if you ask me. The Ghost Rider is synonymous with motorcycles, and so is Logan. But here's the interesting thing. He wears a helmet. Now I can probably hear you now, why the hell would Helverine wear a helmet? He's got Logan's healing factor and the Ghost Rider is practically indestructible. Individually, they're both pretty much unkillable, so why the hell would Helverine need a helmet? Because the helmet is the Weapon X battle simulation headgear.
Oh my god, he's so goddamn cool!
I can forgive all of you for not telling me about this character so long as you go out and read these goddamn books. Because this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen as a fucking comic reader. So my nerd brain has been tingling recently, and the reason for that being is that a few weeks ago I picked up the first 3 issues of Bloodborne. Now these novels are of course based off of the game. They add some lore and some very welcome content that takes place before the events of the game. I won't spoil what happens in these books, but if you're a fan of Bloodborne, I'd highly recommend them. Anyway, as I was reading my way through them, it got me thinking about something, and I've come up with a question for you that I want to answer. How well would a hunter from Bloodborne survive in the Ruby universe? Now, upon first glance, you're probably wondering, why would this even be a question? You're just comparing apples to oranges. But the reason why I've come up with this question is because there's a lot of similarities between Ruby and Bloodborne. Both universes involve hunters or huntresses fighting off vicious beasts. That is their job, that is their role. They are trained to do so and fight them with trick weapons. The trick weapons being one weapon that does 2 separate things. Within the Ruby universe, it's a melee weapon merged with a long-range weapon, such as a scythe and a sniper rifle, a rapier and a revolver, and a pair of gauntlets merged with shotguns. Now with Bloodborne, the line is a little bit grey because they're not all merged with weapons. They more so just do 2 separate things in 2 separate modes, such as a big old scythe being able to split in half between its curved blade and the handle, or a rapier being merged with a gun. Now doesn't that seem awfully familiar? But all the hunters in the Bloodborne universe are also trained to use guns, such as flintlock pistols, blunderbusses and even cannons. So they're not exactly new to using melee weapons, long-range weapons and trick weapons in any variety. And the second kind of overlapping similarity is their enemies. From Bloodborne, that being the savage beasts, and from Ruby it being the Grim. And upon first glance, yes, I would be comparing apples to oranges again. Now, if you play Bloodborne and you know about Ruby, you know for a fact that the Grim and the Beast all have some form of an affinity with animals. All of the Grim look like certain animals: scorpions, birds, wolves, bears, snakes, boars, whatever. Now, with the Beasts from Bloodborne, it's a little bit hard to tell because with the picture I've shown, they all kind of look like werewolves or wolves in some variation. But the Beastly Surge or the Beastly Plague in Bloodborne also affects animals. You constantly fight dogs, birds, pigs, snakes, a whole goddamn menagerie. And it's a damn near nightly hunt that these Bloodborne hunters go out and hunt the beasts. So they are by no means new to fighting all these different creatures in all variety, shapes and sizes. Because some of these beasts are either as tall as men or as tall as buildings. And much like how a scorpion Grim can poison you with its sting, beasts from Bloodborne can do the same thing. There is so much overlapping between the two that I firmly believe that a hunter from Bloodborne would have no trouble at all surviving in the Ruby universe. The only thing that they would have to get accustomed to is the Grim being active during the day. If there are any Bloodborne and or Ruby fans out there, please let me know what you think in the comments. You know, I feel like if /when I ever manage to unlock the ability to have playlists on this app, there will be one called Things Liam Found on Twitter/X. Because yes, I found something else on there, and there's just one thing I have to say about it. If you choose anyone on here other than Deathstroke, you just want a reason to kill yourself. Like, I don't even need to go into any remote detail about all the fucked up shit that these two alone have done. Like, Sabretooth alone hunts down Logan each year on his birthday and just tries to make it the worst day possible. Like, just by getting into a vicious fight with him, killing the people he's closest to, and then taunting him with that information. Reverse Flash's whole shtick is like time traveling into Barry's past and then just making every day horrible for him, whether it be by him tripping him up on his way home so all the bullies on the bus will laugh at him, or by, I don't know, killing his mum before his child self's eye. Doctor Doom is essentially like Marvel's version of Lex Luthor. The dude hates Reed Richards with just every single fibre of his being. Like, I'm surprised Doom hasn't just bought the Baxter building or banned him from ever setting foot in Latveria, considering the fact that 1, he is their world leader, and 2, one of the richest and smartest people on the fucking planet. So I just have to make this a quick video and say this is one of the greatest pleasures I've ever received as a content creator on this app, because a very big fan of this page has made me fan art. So for anyone who hasn't watched my most recent streams, you probably don't know who Jerry is. Basically, I've been streaming Elden Ring and I use the jellyfish summon and I call the jellyfish Jerry. He is my summon. He is my boy. He's the one summon I've extensively used, and we have gone through every single boss fight in the game together. So I am very much attached to my jellyfish boy, and he's made fan art of Jerry the jellyfish. Does this mean I've made it? Does this mean I made it as a content creator, that now I have fan art? So very, very big thank you to Gremlin Frog or Cheap Ghost on TikTok for making me fan art of Jerry. I said it when this suit was first released, and I told you, this suit has potential. The more and more pictures come out about this suit, the more it's growing on me. Like when the suit was first shown with all the dirt and the muck on it and the colours weren't nearly as bright, my reaction was meh at best. But seeing it with the full, vibrant red, blue and yellow, I'm kind of liking it, not gonna lie. The Henry Cavill S will always be my favourite look for Superman's S. But I don't entirely hate this suit, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of liking it. And the only other thing I have to say is this suit right here, not you, this one, terrific. Like no other words need to be used to discuss Mr. Terrific's suit because it's just terrific. Can we just sit down and talk about this week's episode of Acolyte for a second, please? I'm going to say this as many times as I can before I start the video. This is a spoiler zone. I will be talking about spoilers for episode 5. If you have not seen episode 5 of Acolyte, go away and watch that episode now. Save this video, like it, whatever, then come back to it after you've watched the episode because I will be talking about spoilers. And just to repeat it one more time for those people who were not listening, this is a spoiler zone. You got that? Good. The one thing I have wanted since Acolyte came out was a lightsaber fight. And boy did they fucking deliver. As well, that is how you do a fucking reveal. You tease the villain, you show us some of his powers, how scary he is, and then you live up to the expectation in a full-fledged fight. You show us his raw power, you show us their lightsaber skills, and then you end the fight with an epic reveal. Because I did not see this coming, even in the slightest. My jaw fundamentally dropped after seeing this man. Not to mention as well, how this is very clearly not the first time that Kaimir here has fought Jedi with that bracelet and the helmet on. Like just the way this man bats the first lightsaber away and then headbutts the second. My man had 110% faith in his equipment that the lightsaber was not going to cut through it. This was not the first time he has fought any Jedi ever. He fundamentally knows for a fact that his helmet and his gauntlet wrist thing is going to block lightsaber attacks. But can we just take into consideration how much of a learning curve that must have been for Kaimir to block things with his forearm and his head? Because it's so universally known, both in universe and out of universe, that you do not go anywhere near these glowing beams. Regardless of colour, those beams are not friendly. They will cut through you, dismember you, and cauterize the room quicker than you can realise this man killed you 2 stabs ago. It is universally known to us fans and as people in Star Wars, do not touch the lightsaber blades. And this man had the sheer balls to learn how to block lightsabers with his forearm and his face. When he first did that, I rewinded that at least 3 times because I was just in sheer awe of what I just witnessed. Also, one last thing. What is Soul hiding? Like, what is he hiding? This man has got some secrets up his sleeve. What is he hiding? Anyway, let me know what you thought about this week's episode. I'm going to go look at lightsabers now. Oh, God. What the fuck happened to me last night? Oh, hey, Red.
Oh, hey there, Sleeping Beauty. You finally with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm awake. Where am I?
Yeah, as if I'm going to tell you that. You've been through this enough to remember that. Speaking of which, how is your memory, Sunshine? All coming back to you?
Yeah, it's all coming back to me now. Stole a large amount of money off of Bruce Wayne. Batman found me, and, well, I'm assuming that's why I can't see out of my right eye.
Yep, you hit the nail on the head, Sunshine, and the big bad bat has sent me to interrogate you about some valuable information that we need.
What more information do you need out of me? Batman can probably already confirm that I stole all that money with 14 different camera angles to confirm it.
16 camera angles, he put 2 more in recently, but we don't need any of that information. What we need out of you is the information about Riddler's breakout.
I ain't got nothing to do with Riddler's breakout. I hate working for that game. It makes me feel stupid for getting caught every single time I do anything.
Yeah, well, I've just gotta confirm that.
Oh, come on, Red. Can you just let me go with this one time?
Yeah, no, I can do, but this information is really important and we really need to...
I think that's yours.
God damn it, I always hate when this fucking shit happens to me. Oh, shit. You be quiet. I need to take this.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'll be quiet. I understand these things happen all the time. My girlfriend does this to me all the time.
Hi, honey. You
You
alright?
made a big deal about date night and you're not even home.
Yeah, I'm kind of out in a minute. I'm Still in work.
She's absolute sweetheart. Every single Sunday is Bacon Sunday.
Who's there with you?
No one.
Oh, my name's Will. Your boyfriend's got me tied up in some geek's apartment with a gun to my head, trying to get information out of him out of Riddler's breakout, which I have nothing to do with, by the way.
Shut the fuck up.
Oi, watch it.
No, not you, honey. Not you.
I'm a innocent bystander in all of this. I would never hurt a fly, so help me God.
It's innocent bystander, you illiterate prick.
I have no problem with you using a gun, but Bruce certainly does.
What makes you think I'm holding a gun?
You heard the nice lady. Put the gun down.
Okay, fine. I'm putting the gun down.
Okay, then hurry up and get home.
Yes, and then I'll be on my way home.
Alright, love you.
Okay, I love you too. Right, bye.
Why the eye?
Because fuck you, that's why. Anyway, I need to go home now.
Are you seriously gonna leave me here and not untie me?
Oh, absolutely. You see, you got yourself into this situation, you can get yourself out of it.
Yeah, fuck you too, Hood. Prick.